Hey, this story is just one part of the Stories with Sapphire podcast. If you want to hear the full episode in its intended context, the link is in the description below. It's story time. Chapter 1. The Woman in the Church.
Hi, I'm Rachael, and I'm from Washington, D.C., Silver Spring, Maryland, just north of D.C., and I am a skeptic.
I had met Rachael and her co-host Mindy of the Femlore Podcast last year. Rachael is a huge fan of paranormal and supernatural stories, but consumes them completely for entertainment value. She believes there's a logical explanation for everything, which is what makes her story even that much more curious.
So I'm a skeptic, I think, because my dad was very, how do I put this nicely? He's not very into religion or anything like that. My mom is a little bit more into religion, and she used to make us go to church every Sunday, and my dad would just never go. And I never understood why. In Sunday school, I was learning about heaven and all these things, and I'd ask my dad, and he'd be like, yeah, that's not real. So he's a psychologist, so he kind of looks for reasons. He's very methodical. My mom's an art therapist, so, she's a little bit more spiritual. So it was kind of confusing growing up in that household, but really fun because I got exposure to both kinds of ways of thinking. As I was growing up, my parents didn't have a lot of money. My dad was going through school almost my entire life. He didn't get his PhD until I was 13. But my parents always made it feel like we were super rich. We always did really fun things that maybe didn't cost a lot of money. I've never been to Disneyland, but I didn't miss it growing up. So it was a really great childhood. It's me, my twin sister, Lauren, and then my brother, Chris. And instead of going on these Disneyland trips or things like that, my parents would just take us down Route 1 and we'd just stop at cemeteries. We'd walk around, look at the gravestones, and we'd try to read the dates and the names and try to just learn a little bit about the area. And this is like places that nobody ever goes to. So one time I was about 14 and I had just gotten a camcorder. And for those of you who are maybe a little bit younger, this was like a really big deal for me at 14. Getting a camcorder was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm allowed to use this. And like I mentioned, my parents weren't very wealthy. So it took a lot for them to get that for me. And it was just like a big, big deal. So as we're driving down the highway, I thought I would take my camcorder with me so that we could actually document this church. And it was just this little white church. I mean, it had one room and it was this Saturday. It was a weekend. And so we pulled over and we noticed that behind the church, there was a graveyard. So it was perfect, right? We had been doing this my whole life. It made sense. So we all got out. We all piled out of the car, the 5 of us, and we started to walk around the graveyard. And then my sister and I decided to go near the church because we hadn't really gotten a look in the church. And the church window was actually kind of high for us. I'm pretty tall. I think as a 14, I might have been like 5'5". But even then, the window was like at my head, basically. So you couldn't really like look in. We have to hop up to do it. So I got my camcorder ready. I was already recording, we were just laughing and joking. And my twin sister and I decided we would hop up and see if we could see into the church. So we got ready and we hopped up into the window and I could only see for a second, right? Because I couldn't get my bearing on the sill itself. So I kind of hopped back down and I readjusted and I popped back up. And initially when I had hopped up, I saw nothing. It was just an empty church, And I hopped back up and I was able to hold myself with the camcorder pointed into the church. And my sister had gone silent. We were joking and she wasn't saying anything. And I looked to where she was looking, which is a little bit off to the left. And there was somebody in the church. And it looked like a woman in a white dress. And she kept walking down the aisle, the center of the church. And by walk, it wasn't really a walk. It was like a glide. It was really creepy. And my sister, I didn't hear anything from her and I wasn't looking in her direction. I was just captivated by this thing moving down the aisle. And I was in the middle window. My sister was at the far window. So it was coming from the left. And my sister was on the right of me. And as it got to my window, it turned to me and it had no face. And I dropped and started screaming. I just remember her not having any features and it looking black. I just thought she was a person. And then when she looked at me, it was like, oh no, that's not a person. And I had gotten it on camera. So I was freaking out. My sister was freaking out. We had seen the same thing. And again, we're twins, so who knows? But I was like near tears. And my parents were like, what's going on? What's the matter? What happened? And we were like, I saw something I can't explain. I don't know what's going on. My mom, she's like she's a little taller than me. So she was kind of like trying to get up there looking. My brother, of course, was giving us all kinds of crap because he's my brother. He was like, you're just crazy. Like nothing happened. But again, I remembered that I had the footage. So I was like, okay, well, I can just see, right? I can just see if this is real. And, I probably was just scared, or I had thought about like a historical figure. I don't know, something, I was trying to rationalize all this. And so I played the tape back, which, by the way, very exciting that a camcorder could have a playback like on. It had like this flip out screen where you could actually see the video. And I rewinded it and I got to where I was hopping up onto the sill and then it just cuts out. There's no footage. It wasn't even black. It was like the footage that you get with a TV when like a TV goes. It was just like completely off. And like nothing was on it. It was so weird. And I know that I had recorded that footage. My brother and my dad both thought like, okay, the camera, like something happened to the camera. You probably hit it or something, maybe when you were trying to get up on the ledge and it just didn't happen. The weird thing was that it did catch the footage of me hopping up, right? It just like when it was pointing to the window, there was no footage. And my mom, obviously she was more apt to believe me and my sister. And she was like, well, we can't explain it. That's just something you can't explain. And, I'm like bawling and I'm like, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to do. I mean, I was so scared. I couldn't move. Well, I'm skeptic. I'm a skeptical person. So I actually think maybe, I had just seen too many graveyards and I read some scary stories and it kind of just came up. I guess it doesn't really help with the footage or my sister also seeing it. But I guess since we're twins, maybe there's something there. I don't know.
I noticed that Rachael kept posing that maybe the sighting had to do with her and her sister being twins. I had heard that twins have an inexplicable bond. I asked Rachael to elaborate.
We used to, when we were in elementary school, they would keep us in different classrooms. And one day we decided to switch. And then there was something in my class that my sister was in that only I could answer. So she asked to go to the bathroom and I just had to go to the bathroom for some reason. I didn't have to go to the bathroom, but I just felt like I needed to be there. And I get to the bathroom and there's like a couple bathrooms in the whole school. I get to that one bathroom and there she is. And she's like, we got to switch back. So stuff like that happened a lot where like you just know. And I can tell when I need to call her. Weird things like that where I just need to talk to her and I know something's wrong.
How do you explain that to yourself? Because I view that as supernatural.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think, twins are genetically the same person. So I think like there's so much more about genetics that we don't know and like how it actually impacts who we are. So I'm inclined to believe that it has something to do with like, you those twins that get separated and they marry like the same woman named or like they do the same thing or, and I think that points to like that it's not all environment. Some of it is obviously genetic and your personality might be more linked to genetics than you think. So that's kind of how I justify that. Not sure that that's correct, but I guess that doesn't explain how I would know that I needed to go to the bathroom at that time or that I need to call her. I don't know. We just have this very real connection. I don't know how to explain it. I can't. So you're right, Sapphire, you got me. You got me. I don't know how to explain that. That one happens way too often. You're right.
I highly recommend checking out Rachael's podcast, Femlore, where she and her co-host Mindy discuss how the stories we tell influence today's culture and how we view women. Rachael and Mindy are both intelligent and charming women with incredible insight to offer. Find the links in the show notes. Thank you for joining me today. If you like what you heard and would like to support this independently run show, consider becoming a member of my Patreon. Visit patreon.com/storieswithsapphire to see the different tiers and perks. If you'd like to submit a story, email me at storieswithsapphire@gmail.com. Salamat and good night.